Alright, what's going on, guys? You saw the title of the video. I need you guys to stop sleeping on my man Buggy, alright? He's easily warlord level. Like, easy. Don't even try and contest me on this. No, but in all seriousness, how strong is he really? What threat could he actually possess to this pirate world? Is he capable of world domination? Well, let's get into it. First, I want to talk about Buggy, right, and his adventure, and how he even started off as a pirate. And well, funny enough, he was on the infamous Goldie Rogers crew, also known as, the king of the pirates, one that influenced the entire premise of One Piece. But he wasn't much more than just crew hand, and it seemed like he was more of like a scout. He'd always be on the lookout for other enemy pirates, or even land, or probably even treasure, so he could see it himself and be like, okay, I want to get it later. But we'll get more into that. We'll get more into that later. Yeah, and he also made really great friends / enemies with Shanks. They had this sort of mutual love-hate relationship. But so pretty much after an adventure with Roger, they get their hands on this devil fruit, and nobody else on the crew really wants to eat it, since they know they'd lose their ability to swim, and neither does Buggy. But he knows that you could sell the fruit for a bunch of money, and so what he decides to do then is create a fake fruit and eat it in front of his crew, and pretend like it was a fake fruit all along, so that he could really hide and sell the real fruit for profit. However, Shank sneaks up on him, causing this anxious Buggy to swallow the fruit whole, having it hidden in his mouth temporarily, to bypass, being found out. But he ended up swallowing it. And the name of this fruit was the Barbar no Mi, or the chop fruit, roughly, translated to separate or into pieces. And with this inability of not being able to swim, he gained the ability to separate his entire body in controllable pieces, right? And he's able to even fly or pseudo fly with these abilities. We'll get more into that later as well. He becomes innately immune to pretty much any forms of slashing. Like, I'm gonna be honest with you guys, I don't think Buggy will ever be cut. But there's more to talk about that. We'll go and talk more about that in the Marineford arc. I'm sure a lot of you guys know what I'm talking about. And if you don't, that's fine. Okay, so the first arc we actually want to talk about here is the Orangetown arc. And that's where he actually makes his first appearance. Buggy, with his, at this point he's amassed a fairly sizable crew. Enough to take over a island. Or not a small island, like I said, relatively small island. And his two main members that stuck out the most were Moji, the lion tamer, who had this C-class beast named Richie, who is bare minimum small building level, actually, probably a lot greater. But he was able to just swipe Luffy away after breaking him out of a cage. Kind of blitzed him, to be honest. Like, just swiped him straight to a building. And we also have Kabaji, the acrobatic unicyclist, with tricky swordplay, to say the least. And he actually gave Zoro some trouble. Granted, this was a weaker Zoro, but he still gave Zoro trouble. And it's not like Zoro's just like, some slouch, even when he is like at the disadvantage. As a matter of fact, that's when Zoro starts to shine even more, when he's, going more downhill in a fight. I make the argument. But don't get that conflicted for me saying Kabaji is like Zoro level or anything of the sort. Not at all. Like, a healthy Zoro just shats on him, but that's not what I'm talking about. It'd still be like Kabaji still, the way he fights at this point in the series would still be sort of tricky for that Zoro to deal with, Like, regardless if he was healthy, like, he'd be like, okay, this is kind of weird, you know. I'm not saying he just, you know, is inferior to Kabuji in any form. But, yeah, during this arc, Buggy took a Buggy Bomb head on when Zoro flipped the cannon on him. And this is also pretty impressive because this is actually before, you know, they show, like, the other panels where, like, they use other people's bodies to block the Buggy Bombs and reduce the damage. Which, I mean, that's One Piece logic. That's not even... There's more to talk about that as well. But like I said, I would save that for more of the Buggy Ball discussion. But so, yeah. Now, actually, I'm done. Let's get into the Buggy Ball discussion now. So with the Buggy Bomb, and the reason why this is like really, really impressive is because the Buggy Ball it's stated to be, you know, strong enough to destroy, you know, a small village. Which, you know, oh, bro, wait, he could be capping. Or, you know, how does he know that? He's never destroyed a small village before. Probably. I mean, but here's the thing. He probably has destroyed small villages. I highly doubt this is the first, like, island he's completely just taken over. So there's that. And then there's the point that he's a very experienced pirate. I think people are completely forgetting that Buggy's been around for a very long time. Like, he's like the same age as Shanks. Think about how old Shanks is in comparison to Luffy. Like, just think about that age gap. Like, Buggy's incredibly experienced over the seas. But I kind of went off on a rant there. But the Buggy Bomb, like I said, was stated to be small village level, which isn't actually capped. In my opinion, at least, due to my calculations. And my calculations were pretty much, I took this panel, which should be popping up on the screen, or I'll have it on the video, or I'll link it somewhere, or something like that. But pretty much this panel where they showed the demonstration of the Buggy Bomb, it destroys, like I said, 6 to 12 buildings, right? And so I just use, you know, like the 10 count, right, as middle ground. And because, like, there's no definitive past the 6, I don't think. Like, but you can see the shadows of the other buildings. So it's a good chance that it's probably more than 6, but we're just gonna say 10. 6 being like a bare minimum number if you want to be like a bitch about it. So what this pretty much amounted to was I just, you know, did the 4 walls and how they were affected. Since, like, the thing is, the tourist ring that it made actually, like, it covered like the entire building pretty much. And, like, so it wasn't just the entry that, you know, fucked up the building of the cannonball. It was actually like the surrounding pressure along with it, and the actual force of the cannonball was actually shown more towards the end of that. So pretty much just the raw, like, movement speed of the cannonball at that point was enough to just completely flatten like 5-6 buildings easily. And like I said, there's probably buildings in the explosion that were caught and just completely fucked over. But this wasn't like, you know, vaporization or anything like that. This was just large fragmentation. When I say large fragmentation, I mean like they're bits that are still like fairly, you know, you can still fairly see them. But this actually calced out to about, let me see. Anybody can calc check me with this panel, you know, easily. I don't really care. But this calced out to be about 10 million newtons. And what that translates to is about 1,000 pounds of TNT, which is that's actually like right on the money, right in the ballpark of a small town level, like Buggy stated. So I don't know if Oda did research before making that panel. But, like, that was actually, like, an incredibly accurate, not even an assumption. Because it kind of does, it seemed, like, kind of scientific in terms of, like, what he was going with there. So there's that. But the reason why I say that this is very impressive and that the fact that his men were able to tank this is, so for one, Richie, that little lion or whatever, he tanked this, right? You can use as a shield by Kabuji, and also cut down to Kabuji, implying that Kabuji is vastly superior to the point that he's much stronger than Richie. Meaning that Richie, who is, you know, literally the main juice of Moji's power, he's inferior as a first mate to the second mate in Kabaji. And so there's more cool Kabaji feats later that we'll talk about. Funny enough. But yeah, Buggy tanks these tanks these explosions, and so does his crew. So his crew is, you know, they're able to take these things down. Now, Kabaji didn't actually directly take a buggy ball, but the lion did, is the thing. And because the lion did, and the lion's inferior to Kabaji, he you know, logically scales above the lion. I mean, sure, you can make the argument that the lion's like tougher because of fur, some dumb shit, but I would just argue that, you know, One Piece is based off of, like, you know, your strength is sort of similar or similarly linked to your will. So there's a whole that, but I'm gonna save that idea for also another different video. But yeah, so Buggy and his whole gimmick of fighting people, right, is that he's able to, you know, shoot out his limbs, and he's generally wielding some sort of like weapon. Like he's actually shown to hold like knives in between his fingers, and he's able to like launch these very similar to how Luffy throws punches. And relative speeds, actually, which is, you know, that's actually something noteworthy to mention. He's also able to just completely handle any sort of cutting. Like Zoro's just like kind of like fondled by Buggy here, just slightly though. Like Zoro's no bitch, but like he got like poked. He got poked, and so it was just like, I can't cut this motherfucker. I'm just gonna, you know, blast him and run. Which is essentially what he did. But the fight between Luffy and Buggy is one to point out, because this is where like you get a lot of his tactics from, or how you get an idea of him as a person. So he launches these knives in between his fingers, and then like it's initially just like he shoots his entire forearm, right? But then he releases his hands from his forearms, because he made it seem as if he could only break down his forearm, you know, from his elbow to his forearm, pretty much. At least in that instance. But it was actually misdirection, and Luffy managed to get swiped by this. And he's also, you know, very malicious in terms of how he likes to try and break down his opponent. So he understood that Luffy cared greatly about his hat, and so because of that, he fucking A. He thought greatly about the hat and his interaction with Shanks. That he used his knowledge of Shanks against Luffy, and then on top of that, targeted his hat. However, this was a major backfire by him, because he's pretty stupid, and he gets strong. He gets dummy mode strong when he gets pissed off. Like, that's just a common trope with Luffy. Like, when he's pissed, he just gets retardedly strong. And he just, you know, he walked up, and Buggy tries to, like, you know, separate his head or whatever, but Luffy just punches him straight in the fucking gut. Just right in the fucking gut. And that opened up, him up for major. But like I was saying, Nami tries to steal his treasure in the midst of him fighting Luffy. But Buggy's like, bro, what the fuck? No. You know, because Buggy's... He honestly may be even more greedier than Nami. That's a discussion to be had. In terms of just what he wants. And what he's willing to do to get it. Because Nami's not moral at all. Like, they're all pirates, and none of them really are. Ultimately. But... excuse me there. But none of them are actually, nice people per se. Especially not Buggy. But pretty much, like, he really did not want Nami to take off with his stuff. And so because of that, he used Chop Chop It Festival. Which is pretty much like a scatter move where he's broken up into a bunch of different pieces. And he pretty much takes pseudo flight. But Luffy takes advantage of that fact that it's pseudo flight and grabs him by his feet. and he like just starts tickling him and shit. It's kind of weird. Not gonna lie. If you're into feet stuff though, I mean, I guess it's your thing. But he pretty much takes Chase, or tries to take Chase, while being like tickled or whatever, and it it doesn't go too well. But Nami tries to attack Buggy with the treasure, and he's like, bro, I've created deception, basically, because he knew that shit was coming and easily catches his treasure and then like snags it from her, or is about to. But like I said, Luffy frees her up from, being about to be fucking destroyed by Buggy. And so now we have the whole instance where he gets tied up and then he gets fucking bazookaed by Luffy. And mind you, bazooka at this point in time is the strongest move that Luffy should have been shown. Like, because at least bazooka is at least twice as strong as rifle. And rifle, ooh, I don't know if I want to talk about how strong rifle is in this video. I don't know. I think I want to save that for a Luffy video. Yeah, so stick around, guys. Maybe I'll tell you guys how strong those moves actually are, so they have more relevance. Yeah, yeah, you gotta tune back in. No, but on a serious note, just know it's a lot of damage. It's a lot of damage. And okay, yeah. So Buggy ends up, teaming up with this newly powered Alvida, the Iron Mace from even earlier in One Piece. And so that would pretty much conclude, the Orange Town arc. Okay, so yeah, now we're going to talk about the Log Town arc. And this is going to be pretty brief, but it actually has some pretty decent feats coming out here from Luffy. Not Luffy, I'm sorry, from Buggy. And so, Luffy pretty much gets blitzed instantly by Kabaji, right? Like, he was off guard, yeah, but, I mean, Luffy's reacted to things off guard plenty of times. Like, we've seen him in the show just react to things, like, seemingly off guard, pretty much. But he gets completely, like, snuck attack and surprised by Kabaji. And he, like, that was GG. That's the crazy thing about this. Like, it was literally GG when Kabaji did this. Like, he caught him. Like, that was it. Like, Luffy could not do shit at all. At all. It was just over with. Like, he literally, like, he had, like, the death smirk on his face and everything when, like, Zoro, Sanji were trying to, like, beat up all the men and get to him. But he was on, like, a podium where Golden Roger got executed. And got saved. I shit you not, got saved by a lightning bolt. But the thing is, because he's made of rubber, it didn't really do shit to him at all. But Buggy actually caught, like, the whole stroke of the lightning. Right? He got zapped by that whole shit. And the thing is, it's not the fact that he got zapped by this lightning and was alive afterwards. He got zapped by the lightning and fell so far from the fucking ground. And, like, a few moments later was like, okay, I gotta capture this motherfucker. And so, like, the thing is, Luffy immediately left, right? He immediately left when they got struck by lightning or whatever. Him and his crew were just like, fuck it, let's get out of here. And Buggy, like, after he woke up, was like, okay, I can definitely catch this motherfucker. Let me do that real quick. And he gets, like, on the buggy cycle or whatever. And, like, Alvida starts skating, right? And the reason why Alvida's actually, like, she's kind of OD, and I wonder what they would have done against her, is the simple fact that the smooth fruit makes it to where, like, physical normal objects cannot really fuck with her. They can't really, like, hit her. Like, a piece of stone flew, a massive piece of stone flew in her direction, and it just slipped off her. Same would happen with punches. I'm pretty sure, like, blades can't even cut her. Like, she's just so fucking smooth. I don't know, that blade part might be hit my head cannon. I'm just not too versed with Alvida and, like, the limitations of her powers. But as far as just blunt damage goes, it just would not work. at all. But like I said, the reason why this is like, you know, important was they were about to give chase even after that. So the thing is, what that implies is that he was not knocked out for that long. But then, you know, they got captured fucking easily by Smoker. Like, easy as fuck. But this really isn't an anti-feat due to the fact that Smoker is actually pretty formidable at this point in time. Especially, like he captures Luffy, and there's literally not shit Luffy can do. Like, Smoker was, like, literally about to body him until fucking Fate was like, hold on, let me just send this man's dad right here. He's literally never met him before, but let me send him over there real quick. And I don't even know if Luffy believes in God or not, but, like, man, were they shining on him that day? You know what I'm saying? Well, yeah, that's pretty much the Logtown arc. It's just, you know, Buggy handling Lightning Bolt pretty well. Like, Buggy's actually sort of a tank, I'm not gonna lie. Like, he gets his shit kind of ran a bunch and tanks it. Boom, now we have... I don't know if I'd say this is like the meatiest portion for Buggy, but the Impel Down arc it's a great showing for him because he was actually incredibly useful here. So he actually manages to escape his level of confinement, which I believe is just 1. But he gets chased by the Blue-Gary. And the Blue-Gary, they casually make mincemeat of massive sea creatures like Sea Kings. Just easily. Like, that's just honey for them. Easy. Like, their sharp ability is just, like, fucking ridiculous. You know, I'm just making up words. But, like, their axe mastery, they're very good with sharp weapons, apparently. But, he's been chased by these things, right? And he's just terrified out of his mind. He's like, holy shit, they destroy, you know, giant beasts and shit. How am I gonna deal with this? And then he runs into Luffy. And see, here's where I want to talk about his second power that he has, his second intangibles, so to speak. And that is fate. Like, Buggy is one of the most lucky and unlucky individuals. It's like he's tossed into both extremes constantly. So he'll constantly get lucky in certain aspects, but then he'll constantly get unlucky. Like, so running into Luffy is like a double-bladed sword, because Luffy's actually sort of similar in that aspect. So the more bad things that happen to Luffy are more so causes of his actions, whereas Buggy is just like by sheer coincidence. But so yeah, after being filled to be cut by the Blue-Gary, he was this actually came into like a surprise to him for some reason, even though he's a chop person. I guess he was just running in the moment. But, you know, after, you know, Luffy punched one, he was like, wait a minute, you know, we might as well just fight these things. And I guess, like, he was a little hesitant on it, but he helped Luffy fight these things. But the thing is, the reason why this is actually a feat for him, it's not the fact that he fought side by side with Luffy, or that he's relative to Luffy, because it was even stated in that fight that Luffy had gotten a lot stronger since the last time they fought, implying that he probably did not get that much stronger, or Buggy did not get that much stronger. I should have made that more clear. But on top of that, Luffy, I shouldn't say on top of that, but my point in saying this is that Luffy and Buggy punched a Blue-Gary at the same time, meaning that Buggy's punch was pretty relative to Luffy's pistol in terms of speed. You know, I'm not saying it's you know, as powerful as Luffy's punch, but in terms of just speed, it's there, which would add to its power, by the way. So that's just, you know, something to note. But I mean, like I said, it's shown that he isn't really able to do too much against the Blue-Gary. But that's fine, because he wasn't really he didn't pull out all the stops here. Like, he definitely could have taken these guys out, but it would not have been worth it at the expense that he would have had to done it. And we'll talk about that later as well, because he actually has a greater impact on stronger opponents in this arc. But so as they're traveling down the prison, they're being chased by these pretty big monsters, right? Or they've heard word of these beasts walking around. And so Luffy and Buggy, now teamed up, pretty much get chased by all kinds of different animals, but also subsequently meet number 3. And they actually commenced a pretty decent fight against the Sphinx, which is like this thing was incredibly strong. Like, Luffy could not really do too much to it by himself. But they managed to trick the Sphinx into breaking down a level and into the 3rd level of the prison. And this is where Bon Clay starts to help Luffy in the game, as they get chased by a jailer beast. And Luffy and Bon Clay pretty much team up and take out the Sphinx, but this isn't really that important. What is important, though, is the jailer beast and how strong they are. Because these jailer beasts, like, Bon Clay got fucking rolled, and so did Luffy at first. Like, both of them got they got blitzed easy. Like, the Minotaur was crazy as fuck. Like, he's massive, he's huge, he was just fast as hell too. And he just swipes these guys. Like, it's just like boop boop. Or it's like he runs up, smashes fucking Bon Clay, and then Luffy's like, bro, what? Why you can't fucking boom, just gets fucking smacked himself, you know what I'm saying? But the thing to note here is Buggy was actually the first person to take major action against him in terms of a counterattack. And this is where Buggy actually gets a power up, and this is where I say he actually could have taken out the Blue Gurry. And this was the Muggsy Ball, or the Muggy Ball rather. And the Muggy Ball, what it is it's just as strong as a Buggy Ball, just smaller. So he can use it on the go type shit. And so it had, like, the reason why this isn't really Cap and why it makes sense is because it actually stuns the Minotaur that's chasing them. In order to be able to stun something of that, like, in terms of just scaling, that beast is at least relative to Luffy at that stage, because he's, as a matter of fact, he might be greater than Luffy, to be honest, at this point in time, just simply due to just how he got blitzed and how Luffy could not just outright defeat it. He had to kind of run. Mind you that they've been defeating everything else they could beat and running away from the things they really couldn't the whole arc. So, just something to note. But funny enough, the Muggsy Ball isn't actually the strongest, weapon / move in Buggy's arsenal. Because his biggest strength, I say, in this arc was the narrative in his favor, right? So the jailers were pretty much hyping him up and talking about how he had escaped from his confinement and that he used to work with Roger and, all that stuff. So he had, this legendary narrative. And then on top of that, he had teamed up with Luffy and was like, causing all kinds of ruckus. And he got literally half of the credit for that. For pretty much a lot of other people doing it, but he got a lot of the credit. And the prisoners saw that and just really bought into it. And so that's just like an obvious thing that goes on throughout the arc is Buggy inspiring these prisoners. And at first it may not seem like, oh, bro, he just got some level 2 prisoner guys on him. Like, that's nothing. Well, see, the thing is, as he continues to traverse these levels, he's gaining more and more traction and popularity. Think about it like an avalanche, right? And he just like he keeps falling down levels. And so eventually he's gonna be just like this massive just force of just unstoppability. But yeah, literally all he pretty much pulled from all the levels except for the 5th and the 6th one. The 5th and the 6th ones, I'm pretty sure. But him being able to rally up on these leaderships, man, it's crazy because I'm sorry, I said leaderships, but the prisoners he managed to rack up here aren't really used in scaling quite yet here. But they're gonna come into a key role. Trust. But like he's amassing this stockpile of prisoners, right? But then he gets like kind of soloed by the Underwarden Hannibal. But that's not really an anti-feat, as Hannibal scales to the Jailer Beast bare minimum. He's probably stronger than the Jailer Beast, but he's bare minimum as strong as the Jailer Beast. And the reason why I say this is because it's not due to the fact that he just has shown to be just retardedly strong or anything like that, or shown better feats than the Jailer Beast. But it's the fact that he fought a stronger Luffy, and this Luffy was stronger, for sure, after being coming back from pretty much dead, getting this Zenkai boost. Because like I said, not only was his will just revitalized, and wills play a big factor in how strong a One Piece character is, but I mean, like I said, we don't have to get in my head canon. We don't. Even though it's not really head canon, but we don't even have to get into that. We can just look at it from this perspective. The Jailer Beast pretty much got one-shotted by Luffy using third gear. Now, granted, this isn't like, okay, well, he's using third gear, so he obviously went harder against the Jailer Beast than he did Hannibal. But I'm pretty sure Luffy himself was even like, damn, this dude's still not done yet. Now you could interpret that as like, damn, I guess I underestimated this guy. Or you can interpret it as like, this weak ass nigga just will not stop. Like, you can do it, various number of ways. But ultimately, all that matters is that third gear Luffy tagged the Minotaur Beast or whatever, or it's something relative to the Minotaur Beast. Like, all the Jailer Beasts are relative to each other, because I mean, like, it wasn't explicitly stated otherwise, so they would most likely all be relative to each other. And so what that means is third gear, which is not really that quick, right, pretty much blitzes a Jailer Beast, where it was Luffy being blitzed by a Jailer Beast earlier. So that's enough justification to signify that Luffy had gotten stronger after coming back from the dead. Even if he did use a stronger technique, his speed increased. But as they managed to actually break out and retake a ship, you see Buggy's, once again, his underhanded tactics and his bluffing really comes to show here. Whereas he was pretty much terrified to be on these boats, and was like, oh god, we're gonna get completely fucking ruined by the government. Crocodile is all like, bro, you guys gotta start shooting. What are you doing? Shoot back. And Buggy's like, oh, I'm sorry. The crew is pretty much like, bro, we're gonna die. Not really listening to Crocodile. And then Buggy's like, what are you guys doing? We gotta shoot back. Shoot back, guys. And he kind of made it seem as if it was his idea, and all the other guys bought into it, right? And it keeps building up. Like, not only does he gain more followers, but they become more obsessed with Buggy. Like, they sort of form this god complex with Buggy. as time progresses. And even number 3 was all like, bro, are you serious right now? They're actually like believing this guy. Like, he's obviously like not really truthful. But no, they continue to buy into it. And it's, you know, it's amazing like what the narrative does for Buggy in terms of, you know, him just sort of being a joke, but not really, but really. But Buggy is, you know, he pretty much is a coward, and is like, wait a minute, bro. I don't want to fight in this war. I don't want to be a part of this. No. And nobody else does. But then he gets to thinking, wait a minute. This is a chance for clout. You know, this is a chance for me to get my rep up even higher than what it is after breaking out of a prison that's never been broken out of before since, like, Shiki, who is relative to Roger. You know, the king of the pirates. So it's like, think about just the meatiness out of escaping Impale Down and going into a war immediately. Like, that just sounded too good for Buggy. And he manages to inspire all of the prisoners into actually wanting to go into the war, who had initially did not want it as much as him. You know, they were just like, damn, I don't want to fight in this war either. I don't know this nigga like that. I don't know Ace. Who is Ace? I've never even heard of him. Well, I mean, I did hear of him, but I don't know him. I don't know the guy. But, yeah. And so, him and Luffy were marked as the ringleaders of the whole operation, giving him just like, you know, just skyrockets his debt. Not his debt. I mean, well, technically, I guess his debt to the government, because that would increase with his bounty, because they have to pay. We're not getting into that. But yeah, he gets so much fucking clout out of this. He's a clout demon, pretty much. And the way he managed to rally these troops is through his words and his speech. Also, like, with the narrative, like, he never himself backs the narrative outside of what he's like actually asked. Like, people are like, were you really on Roger's crew? And it's like, I mean, yeah, but I didn't necessarily say I did anything on there like that. But I mean, yeah. And all people see is that, yeah. And so that's what they go with. And even Jinbei makes a comment on this. Jinbei being he's a pretty wise character, pretty clutch. Jinbei's one of my favorite characters on the show. But he's pretty much, you know, he's like, you have inherent leadership abilities. Which is also, like I said, very, very noteworthy, and it makes a lot of sense with Buggy's character, as he's shown to just be able to rally just about anybody to, you know, his side. Whew, okay. See, now we're at the Marineford War arc. And this is where not Luffy, but this is where Buggy gets a lot of crazy ass feats. So let's start with the acknowledgement that Whitebeard had for Buggy, right? And this is where his scaling comes in with his crew, because Whitebeard's like, wait a minute, he has some named pirates on his crew right now. If we were to try and fight him, it wouldn't be worth it, like, at all. Like, I'd have nothing. And the thing is, it's not like he necessarily would lose to Buggy's crew or anything by that means. But what that metric means is that, okay, Buggy's crew is strong enough to at least take a sizable percentage off of Whitebeard's team. So that would translate to, I could fuck him up, but, like, I'd lose more than I gain. Which is, you know, that's nice to know. Because, I mean, granted, he is in, like, a war setting, and he doesn't gain anything from making more enemies. He's just trying to unite the fronts. But, like I said, if these are just, like, no-diff pirates, he would have just cleaned them up, right? He would, like, we've seen what Whitebeard's capable of. But he's like, these guys are actually, you know, fairly strong. So, you know, they have, you know, Whitebeard's regards, which is pretty crazy. It's so much to the point that Whitebeard brown noses Buggy, right? He brown noses Buggy, and he pretty much, like, acknowledges him as an equal, and he's all like, this fucking idiot but you know, he has some strong ass people right now, so I might as well just respect him. So he pretty much kisses up the Buggy because of his crew. Just think about that. Whitebeard did that. Like I said, you can say it's tactical or whatever, but we saw what Whitebeard got into. We saw what he's capable of. And yeah, so then Whitebeard, you know, he goes on to say like, oh fuck, like he goes on to say that they're actually powerful, like literally powerful. But the next thing is Buggy was actually, you know, caught up in like some side fire attacks or whatever. He gets caught up in like Crocodile's sand tornado, and Luffy grabs him from within the sand tornado to use him as a shield against Mihawk. And now, mind you, this Mihawk, let's talk about him real quick. You can make the argument that he wasn't using Haki, and that's why he wasn't able to cut Buggy. But that's, I found that very, very, very unlikely for a number of reasons. Like, so for one, when the whole like a whole character trope with Mihawk is that when he pulls out his black blade, he doesn't hold back. Like he generally does not, like in terms of like what he like slashes. Maybe he doesn't slash as fast, but like he doesn't hold back. And then on top of that, the whole that whole narrative influence. Minus that, what motivation would he have to not use Haki against a Devil Fruit user in a war arc right now? Like what, and especially one that's been listed to be, you know, around Shanks. And knowing how strong Shanks is, what does he gain from holding back against Buggy? Nothing. Like really nothing. Like maybe you could try and spin the narrative like, oh well, you know, Mihawk and Shanks are friends, or you know, something like that, but not even. Like, why would Mihawk spare somebody that's attacking him based off of Shanks' relationship solely? Because that's like, because Luffy has more of a reason of being than Buggy does, especially in this instance. But so there's a few ways to interpret this, like more than even the ones I've listed here. There's so many different ways to spin this, but pretty much he was cut and he was unhurt. So you can think about it as, you know, one, he somehow reacted, even though he was looking straight up. He was looking straight up. Like I would love for this to be a Buggy speed feat, but it's just not, because he was looking straight up. Meaning he had no, you know, there's no real way for him to conceivably chop himself up before being chopped by Mihawk. So that's not quite, you know, that's not really likely. You can say that Mihawk, for whatever reason, wasn't using Haki, and so that's why he couldn't cut Buggy. But even still, that's sort of not even like an anti-feat. That just means like literally no matter how good you are at cutting, like in terms of just like, you know, raw ability, you can never cut Buggy. So there's no swordsman ever pretty much exist to be able to cut Buggy. So yeah, like hold that. 3, you know, Haki attacks, even if they're slashing, right? If Haki attacks are slashing, they still just do not work on Buggy. And it's like they're unable to apply you know, the Haki to the user for some reason. Like maybe it's like the surface is cut too quickly, and like just the property of the fruit makes him like kind of a dickhead to deal with. I mean, whatever you want to say, but like the thing is, what even solidifies the fact that Mihawk was using Haki is that he actually talked about it. He was like pretty much talking about it before even coming in contact with Buggy. He was actually talking about how he was using it pretty much. Or like, oh, I don't sense this or this, you know. Pretty much talking about how he was using his own Haki. And so this is massive, like absolutely massive in terms of what he's able to actually handle in terms of like swordsman. So like literally think about all those swordsmen in anime that don't have anything outside of like just raw cutting power. They would not be able to fuck with Buggy. So like characters like Kenpachi. I'm joking. That was a joke, by the way, but bro, I'm gonna have some angry ass commenters like, "What, you think Buggy can beat Kenpachi? What? You what?" Like, no, bro, it's just a fucking joke. But I mean, there is a bit of a weird way to, you know, interpret that though. So like whatever you personally believe, let me know. Let me know in the comments. You know, how strong do you really think Buggy is? Do you think he's you know, small town level? Like I think he is? Or do you think he's, you know, much weaker than that? And he's, cause see, here's the thing. If he's much weaker, then no. I'm sorry. I was trying to come up with like an argument of why he wouldn't be small town level, but I just can't. There's just too many feats giving him at least small village level in terms of attack potency with the Muggy Ball, and he also gets, you know, probably greater than small village, probably somewhere in the city block levels in terms of durability, but he's at least as tough as he's able to take out. He's at least as tough as he is capable of dishing out damage with the Muggy Ball. So bare minimum, he's able to destroy a small village. So is he taking over the world? Probably not. But that's not the whole, you know, that's not the whole point anyway. He said he needed world domination to be a fucking GOAT, all right? Because he still, reminds you, he still has all these prisoners on his side, even after the time skip. And what this allows him to do, and especially after the Marineford arc, is there's no real arc I could put this into, so there's sort of like an appendix. But I don't repeat myself. But conclusion is that he becomes a warlord of the sea, which is not given to a title just by anyone. And this is due to his ability to lead and his intangibles mainly, I'd say. Like his narrative that's based behind him, his deception, and all that good stuff, all that good bismo. So when you take that into consideration, maybe not outright as an individual could he take over the world, but is there some narrative where he's able to just say the right string of words and deceive the right amount of people and amass the right size of an army? I don't know. You tell me. This has been nice. My first video. Sorry if there's like any sort of, you know, ratchet things. Sorry if I sound terrible. You know, anything like that. Sorry if I sound like incoherent at times. Like, you know, it was a fun process. My first video, and what do you guys want to see next? Like, what character should I break down next? And I'm not gonna be strictly One Piece. I am gonna branch out to other animes and talk about that, because I do like to talk about like the deeper meanings within other, you know, contexts outside of just power scaling, like maybe just like ideologies. But yeah, it's been nice. You guys have a good day. Drink a lot of water. Do a few push-ups, man. Just do a few push-ups. For every minute in this video, do a push-up. You guys have a good one.